Welcome, everybody. I'm one of your hosts today, John with the Garden State Passers, and today we have Max. He'll just do probably a short intro as I get these pairings in, and then we will be good to go.
Excellent, excellent. Welcome, everybody, to the Garden State Passers channel. We're hosting the official live coverage of the National Online Scholastic Championship, and we couldn't be more excited. My name's Max Baudisch. I'm your guest host and the MC for the rounds we're going to view today. And just like John said, it's going to be a really exciting day. Now, I'm no chess expert, but I do love the game. And like many of you parents out there, definitely going to have some questions about the rounds we're going to see. And hopefully John and a couple of our other chess experts, in-house chess experts, can help answer those questions. Hopefully later we'll be joined by Sean Finn, another co-founder of the Passers, and perhaps Mac Molnar, the Grandmaster and also another co-founder of the Passers. So it's a pretty exciting day. So I hope you guys are all really excited to see what is in store. The games should be quick. They should be thrilling. And we'll see how it all pans out. John, whenever you're ready, I'm actually very curious about the structure of this tournament. But if you need a second, it's okay. I can.
Yeah, I'll take a second, but this is a
Absolutely.
Swiss system, or it might actually be a modified Swiss system. Either way, as the rounds progress, people will start being grouped together via their score. So generally, it'll be like the top half plays the bottom half, and then as the whichever players keep winning, they'll just keep doing that. So towards say like round 3, we'll start seeing probably a more clear race to see who's going to take first. But this is a long event as there are 8 rounds to it.
Whew, it's going to be a lot of games. Nice. Definitely very excited to get this started up. Taking a look here, we have our K-12 section up top and our K-9 section on the bottom. And we have players already loaded in, ready to go. This is going to be really, really fun. Cool. And we have a Maximilian playing. Awesome. It's my name, Maximilian. That's pretty great. Awesome. No bias there. May the best player win. If you're just joining us, welcome, welcome to the Garden State Passers channel. This is the official live coverage of the National Online Scholastic Championship. Again, my name is Max Baudisch. We are joined now by one of the Passers co-founders and my other co-host, John. John, I'm so sorry. Your last name one more time.
Molanafi.
Molanafi, of course, John. I apologize. So excited to have you all here today. We have an exciting group of games coming up shortly. Should be a very interesting tournament. I feel like I'm feeling nervous for the players. Nervous, excited. This should be wonderful. Okay. Welcome again to the official live coverage to the National Online Scholastic Championship. The games will be underway in just a moment. Again, my name is Max Baudisch. I'm one of your hosts today, joined by John Milanofi, one of the co-founders of the Garden State Passers and our in-house chess expert, who's going to be going through these rounds with us. Again, this championship is hosted by the ICC and is run by US Chess. We're very excited to be hosting the official live coverage here on the Garden State Passers channel. It's going to be a really great day. Ooh, John has some magic screens. Or John, are you moving the screen? It's John or it's ghosts. It could be either one. I'm not sure. Again, if you stick with us here at the Garden State Passers channel, we'll have more in-house chess experts coming in to talk with John and myself about the rounds we're going to watch. We'll be joined by Sean Finn, another Garden State Passers co-founder, and Grandmaster Mac Molnar. So very excited to invite those gentlemen on the stream with us as well. To those of you just joining us again, you're watching the Garden State Passers channel. We're hosting the National Online Scholastic Championships in chess, and we couldn't be more excited. The tournament should be getting underway in just a moment. My name is Max Baudisch, one of your guest hosts today. We'll be going through these rounds when they start momentarily.
Sorry to just leave you hanging. The format's just, I'm still working with it a little bit. So I'm going to also see if I could just ad hoc start some games in the meantime. So the names will be probably not the most correct, but at least we'll be able to look at some games.
Fantastic.
So this is Justin Wang's game. We can focus it on board one. He is the top player in the K-12 section. I'm fairly certain that he is an international master, and his opponent is not Baden. I'll try to get that updated, but here's game one of the day. I figure we could at least start getting games coverage in as I get these pairings in. Unfortunately, once again, the format I'm working off of isn't quite suited yet. So I'm going to program something up in the background, but we could start talking about games. So welcome everybody. And first up, we could see it was a kind of a Dutch going on with a little F5 early. I've never personally played it, but it does lead to very sharp, interesting games. So far, everything's looking pretty standard. We have opposite colored bishops. Black has the 4 versus 3 pawns on the queen side, but white is going to look to probably start aiming those bishops at black's king. Got a nice little battery on this. Looking to make weaknesses around black's king. It's kind of begging the question to either black might have to look to like block with the bishop or make a bold but not great choice of maybe pushing a pawn or something. Unfortunately, that would just create weaknesses around a king that already has the f5, f7 square open.
Now, John, if you don't mind, I have a question about white's pawn structure. Would you characterize this as a very aggressive pawn structure?
I would say definitely. Like they both kind of played an aggressive opening, so that kind of warranted some sort of aggression. White was saying that I'll just more or less take as much space as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that White has gotten for this, so sure, there's a lot of open squares around their king, but there's really no pieces that can attack it. And in exchange, they have this mounting pressure on the king side, and then this d6 pawn for black is probably going to become a target at some point in the near future if uh, black either gets too distracted trying to protect its king or something. That's going to open up opportunities for white.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Problem.
I got my focus on that pawn right now. I am watching that pawn.
Yeah, I would be curious to see what black plays here to try to come up with some sort of defense. Because unfortunately, like say bishop f5 tactically doesn't work. At the end of everything, the bishop's hanging, and then
Oof.
Yeah, that would be pretty rough.
Not a fair trade.
So black had to make a unnecessary, not had to make the necessary decision. It's tough, it hurts, but they had to play g6, and now uh, they most likely will want to try to trade off these dark square bishops. Otherwise, I think white's just going to have too much of a strong attack on this king over here.
Right, right, absolutely. Yeah, that aisle is threatening. Oh my goodness.
So, interesting first game to hop into.
Absolutely.
Do we have check out a couple other games, see if any of them look interesting. So one thing I noticed when I was trying to get these pairings in, I hadn't accounted for buys. The players are able to generally take half-point buys throughout a tournament, just in case, like if there's a conflict. But usually the stipulation is when it comes to buys, later rounds you have to have them done by a certain time. That way, if somebody had like a massive lead, they couldn't just say like, "Oh, I'll just take half-point buys for the last couple rounds."
Right.
This one looks pretty. Let's see. Which those at home and watch individual games as well. A good question, Belgian. I'll get into that in 1 second. So the next round will start at 1. Hopefully by then I'll have this pairing situation taken care of. It's always first rounds for everybody. Always has some hiccups.
Some snafu.
Here, let me add a comp for the individual games as well, so that way those at home, if there's a specific person you're looking for, you could watch their games there, or you could shout it out in chat and we'll try to put it up on stream.
I love that. I love the audience participation. That's fantastic.
We could toss a chat up on stream here. So the way the pairings are determined, this is a Swiss system. So say you have 4 people in it. 1 plays 3, and then 2 plays 4, and then it keeps carrying that same structure going forward. But each time, so first round, everybody has 0 points. So the top half plays the bottom half. But you take the bottom half and you put it up like this.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it'd be like 1 through 8, and then 9 through 16. So 1 would play 9 all the way down until 8 would play 16.
So you're kind of matching brackets as we cycle through.
Yep. So first round, everybody has 0. That happens. So somehow say it was everybody had perfect scores type of deal, and at this point there's 8 winners and there's 8 losers. You would take those 8 winners, say it's like 1 through 8. So then the next round it would be you take that 1 through 8, everybody that has 1 point, and they'd play each other, and then you do the same on the bottom. You bring it up, and you keep doing that as you go. Obviously, with like draws, there's some issues that pop up. So like say it's not an even number in group 1, like group 1 scores there's 7 people, and then there's like somebody with a bye, that person with a draw, that person would hop up into the group above.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then there's some other structures. Good luck, level 5 pro. Good luck to everybody that's playing. We figure probably a lot of people in chat here will either be friends, family, or players themselves. Rating does matter in the sense of how this works. So, based on your rating, the higher your rating, the lower your board number would be. So, that's where, let me say 1 through 8. In this case that we're watching, what is this? Not on my screen. So Justin Wang is the top-rated person in this tournament. I am Justin Wang. I'm gonna confirm that, but I'm pretty sure he's an I am. He is a top-rated person, so he's board 1. So when we get that list of like say 16 people, he's gonna always play the 9th highest rated person. Which actually, I'm pretty sure Wikipedia has a good article on the Swiss system.
Is there a reason the Swiss system is preferential to other systems?
There's one of my personal favorites. There's like accelerated version. So instead of you take the top up to the bottom, and then you would do that, but you would instead of splitting it into 2 groups, you'd split it into 4 groups. So like the top, that's 1 through 4 would play 5 through 8, and then 7 through 12 would play like 13 to 16. And it's called accelerated because it's trying to have the stronger players play each other from the start.
Right.
So one of the nice things about this system is towards the later rounds, generally the people that are doing the best in the tournament will be grouped together. But on the way there, like there's good chances for upsets. So it gives like lower rated players a chance to play higher rated players.
That's wonderful. I love that.
And it's a way to, so we have about 1,000 people playing in this. One section, it's like 300 something. The other has whatever. It's not feasible to say do a round robin with that many people. So the Swiss system is the way that you could try to get the highest rate, like not the highest rated, the best performance player win it in a set number of rounds. And there is something, there's some sort of formula or design behind it where based on how many number of players are in it, there's an X number of rounds that need to be played that should give a winner.
Right.
So round 2 starts, it would be 1 p.m. Eastern time, so I don't know how to translate to other time zones, but yes.
And again, if you're just joining us, this is the Garden State Pastors channel, and we have the official live coverage of the National Online Scholastic Championship in chess. Very excited to have all of our parents, friends, fellow students here with us watching, supporting, getting excited for the many games ahead. We're already underway with some pretty exciting gameplay. Of course, I have with me my co-host and co-founder of the Garden State Pastors, John Malanofi. I got it, John. I got it. And I am your co-host, Max Baudisch. Very excited to have you all here today.
There has been a number of results so far. So far, it looks like the higher ratings are winning their matches, which is to be expected. Generally, first round of the Swiss system, that's like when it's the most unbalanced. Because if you're just going off of ratings, yeah, you have these super high rated versus not as high rated, but the people with lower ratings that overperform their rating will start catching up. So we should expect to see some upsets. Just the first round, it's usually less than later rounds.
That's exciting. I can't wait to see who kind of climbs the ladder up to the more higher rated players, and to see some of those face-offs, it's going to be pretty thrilling. Actually, John, I'm curious because I'm less familiar with tournament culture. When you're a higher rated player, on average, how many tournaments would you have under your belt?
I'd say with high rated players, it usually like hard to say because somebody might just have played like a short amount of games, had a very good start to their career, and have a high rating.
Right.
But usually, like if you see a kid or like a teen with a higher rating, it's usually like, they probably know what's going on. Because it's
Absolutely.
either they started with a higher rating that they earned, or they were lower rated. Like one thing with Scholastics, which is always exciting, you might see somebody rated 1,000, but their playing strength might actually be like much higher than that. It's just that they started low and they're climbing up.
And they're working their way. Oh, that's really cool. And that's where you're going to find some of those upsets, I'm sure. That's really exciting. Oh, cool.
So we see some commentary in the chat about the game we have up right now. I think it was probably for a couple moves back.
Man, those white bishops are really moving in on that king.
Yeah, so I'm 2100 right now, and actually, on a personal note, did start training because I'm pushing for an FM title, but so wish me luck in that regard. But talking about the Scholastic, and where they could be underrated, my first rating was 762, so it's been a long climb up from there.
Wow, yeah. That's amazing.
We're getting there.
Nice. Now, how long did it take you to climb those ranks?
So by high school time, I think I was like 1700, and then a little bit after high school, like a year or two, is when I had cracked 2000.
Oh my gosh, putting the work in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then responsibilities got in the way, so that put a big hiatus on my game time.
That'll waylay you for sure, absolutely.
But now that things are starting to calm down a little bit, and over the board is starting to return, I'm prepping and exciting to try to get something going. So back to Justin's game right now. Looks like at some point he did win the exchange. That's definitely going to work in their favor. Black might be able to try to get something going with that dark squared bishop. Maybe try to open up some lines to White's king, but unfortunately for Black, they still have a big hole in their own king safety.
Nice. Now, if I'm Justin Wang right now, how concerned am I about my time?
So, time is in his favor quite a bit, so he's good to go there. He's got about 17 minutes, while his opponent has 12. Again,
I have my numbers backwards. There we go. Yes, I see that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he has quite a lead. So I'd be feeling pretty good if I was Justin.
So the time control for this is 25 minutes with 5-second increments. So it's definitely plenty of time to play.
For sure, for sure.
Sure. We could go back. Yeah, we could start again from here. White looking to exploit the open dark squares around Black's king, and also kick that rook back. So say Black moves the rook somewhere, bishop takes bishop will most likely happen, followed by rook takes. Just kind of completely open up that king side. I've heard that one before, that I do look like... I tell people I'm sort of the Walmart brand of Mark Zuckerberg. I'm also like a principal software engineer. So my background is actually in programming. So, yeah. But not the first time I've heard that one. Yes, I would be John. I don't think anybody is saying Max looks like Zuckerberg, but I've definitely gotten that one before. I've gotten that one at like a grocery store, just walking in one time, like, "Are you Zuckerberg?" I'm like, "I wish I wouldn't be here right now."
My impulse would just to say yes, but then you never know how somebody feels about Facebook or anything. So,
or like, "Here, let me an idea.
Right. Then you have to sit and wait and listen to the pitch. That's funny.
Yeah. To load up another game, and let's check out the lower section. Alright, level pro. I won't put you on blast. I'll keep that game a secret. That's the other thing. I keep trying to grab games, but since there's such a quick time control, a lot of them are already over by the time I grab it.
Oh man, we are certainly after the races.
Alright, so again, disregard the names. I might actually just remove the names and from the overlay going forward. It's gonna be hard to keep up, and let's check this position out. So this position is not Evan Park. It is Evan Pan is playing white against Baloo. So this is a case where wow, a lot seems to have happened.
Now, John, again, I'm no chess expert, but I do love the game. And now seeing all these games played at once, I'm noticing a lot of mirrored structures between white and black. How often do you find kind of mirrored structures, and is that something that players think of?
It's definitely will happen a good amount. We'll have like these mirrored structures where either like the position calls for it, or a lot of times, like especially Scholastic, it's even open tournaments. Unless you're playing at like the highest level, a lot of times opening prep is secondary. So sometimes it's helpful to just kind of like, all right, if you go there, I too will go there.
Right. Kind of just meeting them, face to face everywhere you can.
Welcome, Aiden. Congrats on your win. But you can still find it. USCF ID is 3. All right, I'll try to take a look for that. In the meantime, this is in the K-9 section. And again, white is Kevin Pan. And they are a master playing against players only rated at 900, but looks like they have a pretty good solid position here. White's looking to kind of get a kingside attack and take advantage of this somewhat trapped bishop. But at the cost of making their own king safety a little insecure.
I was going to say, he doesn't look too locked in there, that king.
Yeah. Like me, if I was black, I would probably be looking somehow to give my bishop breathing room. Most likely, maybe something like, I hate to push the f-pawn, but I would consider king h8 followed by f6, and then I could bring my bishop back. Alternatively, it could be a little scary to do, but sometimes do an h5, and white most likely wouldn't take, because then we take back, and we have that pin onto the queen on a knight. And then also if they take, they're gonna have the open G file towards their own king. So sometimes you'll see drastic moves like an h5 here. But black might be waiting until like maybe if white plays h4, then we can play h5.
To do it only when it's like very necessary.
Yeah, because if white plays h4, they're clearly threatening to play h5. So we can counter with an h5, and then that puts a question to what white wants to do. They either, at that point, have to open, or most likely push their pawn. And if they push their pawn, these two pawns would actually kind of become, like, our own defensive pieces. White's not going to be able to get past their own pawns.
Right. They become their own obstacles right there. That's great.
Hey, Professor, I did add a command at the chat. games. I don't know if it shows the old games. Um, let's see. Yes, you should get the notation emailed to you. If you have an ICC account already, you could also sign into Blitzen and do history, whatever the username you're playing, and it would show up there. And then you could do like S moves, that, or it already finished. But all right, so USCF. Let's try to see if we can find this game. I'm going to assume the K through 9 section. K through 9. Nice, so that should hopefully be loading up. One. In the meantime,
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, along the K-9 section on black, you see identical, almost identical, not quite identical, but almost identical formations along those 3 games for black.
That was me loading them up, yeah.
Oh, was that what it was? I was like, whoa. Amazing.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild.
I was like, what are the chances? I have to know about that. Oh my goodness. Our K-12 game between Justin and Vaden is coming down to its final moments here, and it looks like it was a pretty brutal game.
Yeah, that looks like it did end in mate. Yeah, too strong.
Ooh, a lot of pieces taken right there at the end.
Thanks for the follow. And we're just getting some up players. I think I see.
Again, for anyone just joining us, you're watching the Garden State Passers channel. We're hosting the official live coverage of the National Online Scholastic Championship. I'm joined by one of the Passers co-founders, John Malanafi, and my name is Max Baudisch. I'm your guest host and one of the MCs for the rounds we're going to watch today. And already we're off to a pretty stellar start. These games are going up and coming down one after the other. It's pretty amazing.
All right, so let's see if that game loaded in. Don't see it. You could just do it on a diagram board, I guess. So this is the game requested from chat. He was playing one of the colors. So D4, D5. Looks like they were playing black. Bishop F4, so we have a London system. This is definitely like the latest craze everywhere. 6. Seems reasonable. E3. To be expected. So the London system has a reputation of kind of being like not a bad opening to play, but sometimes like players want to have a little more pizzazz in the opening, and London kind of says like, I'm just gonna put my pieces onto good squares and there's gonna be no fireworks. So sometimes playing against London is not the most enjoyable things, at least from my viewpoint. So Bishop
now,
E6.
is it only considered London system on the queen's side or king's side too?
Yeah, so the London system, it's these first two moves, D4 followed by Bishop F4.
Gotcha.
The Bishop D6 immediately putting a question to the Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Not a reasonable move. White retreats. They're not too worried, say, if you take here, they take here, and now they have this open file for their rook. That's a cost of only a minor issue with their pawn structure. The Bishop G3 makes sense. They did go into that. Bishop takes, pawn takes. So now white does have compensation for the double pawns by having this open rook. HD, knight F6. So far so good. Bishop D3. They're starting to put pressure here. So if I'm black here, I'm going to say I'm not going to castle kingside.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about that. I was like, how is he in a castle queenside? Oh my god! Oh my goodness.
B6 looking to. Fair enough. Like one of the problems with this bishop is that it's stuck behind its own pawns. So looking to probably potentially one of those squares. Makes sense.
I need planes to roam. Absolutely.
C3, but still, I think this is one of the benefits of London. It's as white, it's pretty easy to develop in these positions.
I see that now. I was wondering because it seemed to me London's system, especially when he brought the pawn up to reinforce the bishop, that it kind of left the bishop out in no man's land, but not so. I see it now, how it kind of leaves you open to bring your pieces forward into those spots. That's pretty cool.
Aiden, you could just give me like your UFC FID, and then I could end your section, and then I could find a game and do what I'm doing here. So we have the bishop a6. Bishop takes, knight takes. So white probably had wanted to keep that bishop. Black's knights kind of all sides a little bit, but it's not too much of a concern because like most likely maybe like a c5 and then the knight could come back here, or worst comes to worst, you just redeploy. So it's offsides right now, but as black, I wouldn't be too worried about my knight being out there this early. Okay, so this is the first move where I'd say what we mentioned earlier. This seems a little dangerous. White has this pawn they're probably going to start being annoying with. Maybe like a knight back forward. Again, queen d3 is going to just be a lot to deal with. So this is the first move where I think you probably had better. Probably look to maybe try to get the knight back into it. Yeah, it's not as enticing to want to castle queenside here now that you had that hole there, but might have been one of those positions where you just say, okay, I'm not gonna castle. So,
now, how often do you find yourself in that position? Is that more often than I would think? Because I'm always, as a novice player, I'm like always looking for my first opportunity to castle, though that's probably not always advantageous.
So I will admit, when I was a Scholastic player, there was about a 3-year period where I never castled. I do not recommend that if you're looking to win.
Right.
look, I played so aggressively back then. I was like, I don't want to waste a move castling. I just want to attack, attack, attack. But one thing that it did help me later, my games, now I castle all the time, was it helped me get better at defending my king because it would get attacked very often. So,
I can
usually not
imagine. Yeah.
recommended not to castle, but there are circumstances where it's okay.
Right, where maybe both ends of the board are kind of jeopardizing.
Yep. So black's still looking to just kind of trade off pieces and fix their issues. Seven.
Definitely.
Queen d3. Now they're hitting that double attack finally.
Coming in. Ooh, they're coming in.
Ooh, and yeah, black just missed it by taking here and then gets mated. But this is still going to be a hard position to defend. Like, say you have this white is probably going to castle long and actually maybe consider doing that. Or again, there's this pawn here. So look to try to drop, bring it in all the way.
Mm.
Like, there's definitely sacking potentials for white. And black still needs to do something about this knight offsides, which is also actually, there's another point to this. Like, you can't defend both.
Right.
So say we defend the mate, the knight finally gets picked up.
Boom.
So that was why castling was the only move in this, I would say, that I wasn't the biggest fan of.
Mm.
Yeah, Aiden in chat pointed that out too. The free knight. So that was a nice little fork there.
Wow.
Just
Yeah.
annoying one. Yeah, they had a nice little mate finish. All right, let's try to find Aiden's game.
Man, that's a hard and fast game. That's crazy. Whew.
Who's K-9? And what? Once 8 and 2. That alert just, I've been reading off of that. That alert just popped up right over. Sure, level. We can hop on to yours after. 1, 2, 4, 3. Let's move. This that way and make it a little bit easier to read. Alright, so this time we have Aiden. He is white. Let's just clear out this board. Alright, we have e4, e5. I'm a fan. Knight f3. Knight c6. Alright, we have a Rui Lopez started. Always good to see. Knight f6. As black, I'm actually still trying to figure out what I play against the Rui Lopez. I've played many things in the past, but I'm trying to focus in on something.
Hmm.
So d3. I've seen that move before. Bishop c5. Okay. We got a little castle and castle. Both players just looking to develop their pieces, trying to get them to good squares.
And here's where we're seeing some of that mirroring that I was asking about before.
Yeah, like obviously this time mirroring, like say the bishop out there, draw some bishop out here would be less advantageous. We just probably kick it and just annoy it.
Right.
Bishop c5 makes sense to me. Castle c3. So a lot of times with the Rui Lopez is we're going to look to just try to take over in the center. And then develop these pieces at a later date when we know where we want them to go. Sometimes there's like interesting knight maneuvers too, where the knight will come like on a little tour. Always cute.
That's awesome.
Knight e7. This is where I don't know enough about the line now, if this is like the thing to do. I guess they wanted to maybe do like a t6 and didn't want like bishop takes, pawn takes, but as black I'm not too worried about that. So let's see. We want 97, bishop g5. Makes sense to me. The only other square would probably be e3, and we don't want to just give up this bishop because this bishop on c5 is probably going to be if I was white, that would be a target of mine. I don't want to just give it up. But this makes sense. We're pinning both of the knights. Like, so say if black brings a knight here, this one's pinned, and that's a little uncomfortable. So
Absolutely.
I like bishop g5. So knight g6 does happen. We're now pinning f6 bishop. d4, because black can't take that because of that. I like it.
Now, John, another novice question, because I'm seeing a lot of interplay here between the knights and the bishops, and I've always grown up thinking of bishops as a higher value piece to a knight, but I've started to think of them as more equal. Would you view them as kind of a more equal value piece, or is one more advantageous than the other in most cases?
So the rough estimate is that they're equal pieces, and yes, there's definitely positions where you're going to want one over the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have just say a bishop versus a knight, and there's like just a couple pawns on the board, and they're on like opposite sides, then the bishop could cover more ground.
Right.
But if all the pawns are like on one side of the board, then the knight might be a little bit stronger. A lot
To
of
hop
times,
around.
the bishop in endgame will be stronger than a knight because a bishop could do what you call wasting a move, where like say you want your opponent to move their piece, but you don't want to like really ruin your moves. You could waste the move a lot easier with the bishop than if a knight moves. It's more drastic of like a position change. So
Right.
like, if you have a bishop and you back it up one square, it's still covering the same exact diagonal. If the knight is defending a piece and you have to waste a move, it's no longer going to defend that piece. So
He's going to be controlling a whole different territory. Totally.
yep. And then there's other situations where like a closed pawn structure and like really like cluttered position, a knight could usually maneuver around pieces easier than a bishop can.
That makes a lot of sense.
Super thinker, yeah, just dropped in. Like knights love to hop around.
They do indeed. They do indeed.
All right, so where were we? We toss in d4, e takes. I think this is going to get bad for black really quickly. e6. I'm guessing they want e5, but let me just make sure. Oh no. So I figured this was gonna be the next move, forcing black to probably have to play this, and this kind of just starts getting opens up the position over here. But this isn't bad either. We're looking to also build up on a knight this way, I guess. The knight c3, rook e8. Still no major threat from white. So now white plays e5. Rook e6. Okay, I'm guessing they just took. Oh wow, this gets real drastic. Real. I'm guessing this is what. Let's see. Oh no, he kept the pin on. Okay, that's totally fine.
So, John, how much of Black's problems here come from their not using their pawns?
Definitely this whole explosion on like the knight back to e7. I just thought was too slow of a plan. If they had just ignored the potential double pawns and went d6, they could have avoided some of like white just exploding with d5 and just destroying this position.
Totally. Man, now you're jammed up. What do you do?
Yeah. I mean, all white's pieces are pretty much good here. They're up an entire piece. This is going to fall at some point, so they'll be up entire rook. Yeah, this is looking good for white.
Looking good, yeah, absolutely.
Oh wait, I moved the wrong knight. They went 94. That makes more sense. So they went here. Yeah, this is just a lot of violence. So black continued to play on for a bit, but honestly, at this point, they're pretty pretty toast.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I feel for you, Black. My goodness.
So I
I've been
could
in that
say
position before. It hurts.
we could cut off here. We already know that Aiden went on to checkmate this
Mm-hmm.
position, but this is just like they're up an entire piece. Black doesn't have any good pieces out. The only thing defending its king right now is this knight loosely, so
And everything from the queen over there, yeah, like you said, totally blocked up, unusable. Totally.
so let's try to hop onto level 5 pros game.
All right.
They're in the K6 the K through 12 section.
While we hop on this game, I want to welcome anybody who's just joining us to the Garden State Passers channel. We are watching the official live coverage of the National Online Scholastic Championship. Again, my name is Max Baudisch. I'm one of your co-hosts and emceeing some of the rounds that we're watching. And again, I'm no chess expert here, but like you parents at home, I love the game and I certainly have some questions about it. And of course, we have our in-house chess expert and co-host, John Milanofi, one of the co-founders of the Passers, here doing some deep dives on some of these rounds here. And it is heating up. Some of these games are getting pretty brutal.
Alright, so this time we have another game from White's perspective. This is going to be a level. Alright, so level 5 pro already warned us that this one will be brutal. So
Woo, here we go.
let's just see how it goes. So e4, knight f6. Alright, so once again we have a London.
Mm.
e5, e3. I'll try not to roast, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of playing against a London. 6. Knight f3. But another thing with these shorter time controls, like the 25-minute and 5-second increments, it is not a bad idea playing openings like the London, where, again, you just put pieces onto squares and you don't have to worry about too much theatrics. So, usually
Right.
safe, like you should be able to get not too caught up in the opening, wasting too much time. So g6, knight f3, bishop g7, knight bd2. Castles. Sense to me. Queen e2. I wonder if they're looking to castle long.
Mm-hmm.
e6, they are. So oftentimes when two players castle opposite, it becomes a race to see who checkmates the other person first.
Because you're developing on opposite ends of the board there. So whoever kind of develops and secures it faster, and then that kind of Cold War setup.
So kind of like right away as white now, I'm thinking h4, h5. That's just off the top of my head. Like, because you don't worry about the pawns that are usually in front of your king. You could use them in an attack.
Mm.
Yeah, so usually castling opposite, the first thing is who could mate the other person first. So that, it usually leads to exciting chess.
So to say, that kind of pumps me up.
This is the first move where I would say white kind of goes astray. This is level pro. Because we kind of want to keep these pawns in front of our king to defend it. We're unnecessarily going to be opening up this C file for black.
Right.
c4, which black actually just plays c5.
Interesting.
So they take this way, they take this way. And now, like, sure, we're kind of messing up black's pawns, but we're going to start opening up all these, like, files towards our own king.
Oh my goodness.
So c takes, b takes c5, c takes c5. Bishop takes d5. Actually, I kind of preferred. If I were black, I would have been looking at knight takes, but bishop takes is fine too. We're hitting this pawn out here. We're gonna force white to make another uncomfortable concession. Probably maybe something drastic like knight b1 is called for here. The idea is like if I do this, ooh, thanks for the queen. But
Oh,
now I can bring it back to a safer square, c3, which would protect my pawn. So
now going back, John, to what you were saying about you would have taken with knight instead of bishop. There is part of that thinking because knight could then kind of lead this charge because white is so blocked up with their pieces right now.
So again, with the idea of we're gonna start trying to attack each other's king.
Right.
Me as black, the only pieces I'm kind of concerned about right now is the bishop and knight. So I'm immediately hitting the bishop, putting a question to that. If they retreat, I no longer have to worry about it attacking me. If it comes up, I could kick it. If they leave it, I'm probably gonna take it. And the other benefit is I'm opening up this lines to start attacking.
Look at that, right, without having to put them in harm's way. Yeah.
But bishop takes is fine too, because again, we're already hitting this. This is going to happen. Maybe the knight wants to be here to let the bishop sit on that line.
Right, okay.
So we're on move 11, knight b3. Okay, again, black can't take... Like, if black could just chop that off right now, it would be... Whew, oh boy. But we are taking advantage of that pin, so knight b3 makes sense to me. Queen b6 also makes sense. Once again, we're going to start looking at this. These doubling up, probably kick this at some point. Like, I'd probably look to bring knight in first, followed by pawn push. After I deal with my bishop. Also, the benefit of we're just doubling up on this piece. So queen b6, not a surprise in this position. Queen b5 makes sense. Like, there's just too much muscle on the queen side for black, so trying to trade queens is a good call.
I was going to say, I mean, if I'm white right now, I'm really thinking about how developed black is, and I got to break them up in some way, right? Because I'm seeing black coming for that king, and then, man, they are on the way.
Black didn't do this, did they? What am I missing? Why can't white just take a bishop? Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was just a bishop here.
There's a free piece hanging out in the middle. Oh, man.
Sure, Kappa. Let me see. I don't see any message. Oh, there you go. Goes moves. Oh, right. So yeah, I'm not sure why I can't take that here. But anyway, let's say they did queen takes b6. That's totally fine. That piece is still okay. There we go. We might find out. Takes 5. Takes a2. A little uncomfortable, but nothing we can't fix. Knight bd2, bishop takes b2 check. Please tell me you want king. Oh, king c2 is well. I think you could have just said, oh no, you couldn't do that because of. Oof.
Oh, look at that. Yep.
So
Dang.
King c2. This is where, like, say, yeah, you just attack each other's kings and see what happens. So, takes b2 check, king c2, bishop c3 check. Oh no. Again, this looks kinda, except for that.
Ooh, yeah, that's hairy.
Actually, just say, okay, does black have better than a draw here? But this looks dangerous. King d3. Gave up the fork anyway, but this potentially was a nice alternative too. Oh no, actually, we could have been very brave and just had our king go sailing. So anyway, knight takes f2, check. King takes c3. Knight takes h1. Bishop takes. Rook takes. Guessing. Bishop c4. I don't know, I kind of prefer white here. That, I might not have taken the knight, but everything else, like here, I don't feel too bad. The only issue to really worry about now are just these two queenside pawns.
Right. Have their own little island right there.
Okay, 3 check. Knight b3. Yeah. That, I'm not. Yeah, b5 is gonna hurt. 5 c4, king b4. Unfortunately for that, they have rook takes here, check. And now that nice two pieces you had just kind of king c5, only square. If we go there, we get
yeah, there's the mate, right?
not quite mate, but
oh yeah, that pawn, saving grace right there. Yep.
But it's still pretty rough. King to c5, rook takes d3, rook takes d3, he takes d3. Yeah. So I'd say you weren't doing too bad, level pro, until those last little bit there. Yeah.
Something I'm curious about, John, but it's okay if it's too much of like, we'd have to go back to see this. Correct me if I'm wrong, because London system is new information to me, but it sounds like London system, particularly in these faster rounds, is meant to kind of help that fast piece development, right? So my wondering is, because white kind of had that London system open, if I'm remembering correctly, so I'm wondering, at what point did black kind of jam them up and prevent that development that white was hoping to have?
So, like you're saying, as black, what should I be looking to do type of deal?
Right. So once, kind of that first structure is created and we have the knight come out and the bishop come out, I missed the moment where black kind of got the upper hand and kind of kept white from developing its pieces further.
So I'd say nothing super drastic happened. It was kind of more self-inflicted by white.
Okay.
And that was white point c4.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Like, if white just carried on developing, or maybe looking to say, hey, we're castled opposite side, let me try to attack your king first. Right,
to kind of make the aggressive move up the king side there.
Yeah, and there is like ideas too where we might actually just jettison this pawn, meaning like say black is to just kind of try to get our attack going and just open up these lines for our pieces. So that's where I think white just, besides c4 just unnecessarily opening our own king, it's like definitely a situational awareness.
That makes sense.
Had a slight lead in development, so might as well try to get their attack off first.
Right. Kind of win that race to the king.
So, yeah, I feel that was a pretty informative game.
Absolutely, I learned a ton. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool one. Unfortunately, again, that c4 and then later missing the idea behind b5 and then c4. I think if white spotted that, then they would have been okay. So there was like 2 oh-nos and then one like maybe slightly better, but
right.
Game overall.
And like you said, it's a matter of situational awareness, right? Like, we can maybe assume, I don't know, I don't want to assume, but the white was probably kind of focused on what was developing over on kind of the other side of the board there, not noticing that pawn structure starting to develop.
Anybody else have games they want to view? Otherwise, we're probably going to go on break for a little bit with the next round in 47 minutes. Oh, here we go. Actually, we have one more game.
Oh, fun.
So let's check that one out. Thanks for the spot. K-9, 97, 64, 58. And alright, so it looks like it ended in a draw. Get the moves up. Let me see if I could. I'd say by this point, all the games should be done. There is actually one game still going.
Ooh.
Let's see if we could get that one. Seven, 4, 3. I know, looks like that game also too. Just ended in checkmate, I guess, right before we loaded it up. Oh no.
Oh no. We do what we can, but these games are flying.
Yeah. And next round, we should be get a little bit more support to help get these pairings in correctly from the start. So let's see if there's anybody else worth. I think that might be it for now. So if there's any other games to observe, like if anybody wants a quick analysis, I'll do that. Otherwise, again, we'll go on break, probably grab some lunch, and I'll look to get this overlay work in. I might just, worst comes to worst, again, remove the name since all these games were not just in Wang. So thanks for sticking around. Once again, my name is John with the Garden State Passers, and we have our guest, Max.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
So we'll be back.
We'll see you all back here at 1 o'clock for the next exciting round of the National Online Scholastic Championship. See you soon.